All right, so in today's video, we will be learning how to compose our body paragraphs using the evidence that we've collected from our research, the organization that we built in our outline. We're going to elaborate on each of those reasons or main points that we already kind of organized and have in the back of our mind to create our body paragraphs. So our goals for today's lesson are to be able to write a topic sentence, include evidence, at least one piece of evidence from a source in each paragraph with the proper citation, and elaborate on that evidence with your own thoughts and opinions and evaluation of the information. Okay, so those are today's goals. Let's get at it. The first thing that we want to do is write a topic sentence. What I have open right now in my browser, and what you're going to want to kind of jump back and forth between on your iPad, or if you're using a laptop in the classroom during work time, you're going to want to be able to have these things open and available and on the ready. Okay, and that's my outline that I've created. And you'll notice I have some things color-coded here. We'll get to why those are color-coded in just a minute. And then I'm also going to want my rough draft open. And so far in class last time, I wrote an introduction, or at least a draft of an introduction. In my introduction, I have three main parts, which is my attention getter, my thesis statement, actually right here, and my preview of main points. And the reason I point this out to you is that my preview of main points is going to be what ends up being each of my main points or body paragraphs that follow my introduction. On your iPad, you don't have a tab key, but just keep in mind that at some point you're going to want to add this space here where each paragraph is indented. When I go to make a new paragraph after my introduction, I'm just going to hit return one time, and it should, if I'm using a computer, it's automatically going to add that tab for me because it understands I'm writing a new paragraph. If I'm using my iPad, it's not going to be as easy. So I might want to put a symbol or a note or something there to remind me to add tabs later. To indent each of these paragraphs, because that's just how we begin a new paragraph. That's how your reader knows that you're starting a new train of thought. So when I start this, I want to be looking at my first main point, and that's where I'm going to come back over to my outline. These things highlighted here in pink or purple, or however it appears to you, are the different parts of my introduction that I just pointed out to you on my essay here. And then my reasoning here are highlighted in yellow, just so they stand out for our purposes today. I'm going to start here with reason number one. And my choice, Zora Neale Hurston, is an author who wrote during the Harlem Renaissance, which was a really important time in literary history. Okay. And my evidence I have here already filed underneath that first reason. So I want to transition at this point from my introduction into my body paragraph one. So I want to have a topic sentence, something that allows the reader to figure out what I'm going to be talking about next. Okay, and that's this part here. I want to develop into a topic sentence. Okay, so if you already have something like this for your reasons in your outline, assuming that we kind of did our outline thoroughly, I'm going to highlight that, copy it, and I'm going to come back over here and paste that and figure out, I'm going to take the highlight off of it now. I'm going to figure out how to make this transparent. Here we go. How to make this a smooth transition into my next main point. So like I said, I'm going to tab that over if I'm using a computer, and I'm going to figure out a way to turn this into kind of almost a mini thesis for the paragraph that I'm going to be writing here. Okay, so instead of saying she, which is a very vague pronoun at this point, I'm going to reintroduce my person almost. I'm going to point out here that I'm referring to my author, my topic, by her last name, because my tone I want to keep professional. I want to keep it academic. I don't know Zora Neale Hurston. I did not know her when she was alive, so it's not entirely appropriate for me to refer to her as Zora. Okay, that's a more informal greeting. It's more appropriate for me to call her Hurston. So Hurston had a major role during the Harlem Renaissance, and I might want to clarify what the Harlem Renaissance is for my readers, because my readers, much like you might be sitting there watching this at home right now, might be unfamiliar with what the Harlem Renaissance was. So I might want to clarify that. Important period in literary history. Okay, so now I've got a general topic sentence written at this point. With this rough draft, we do want to keep things kind of general. You got to know that it's just not going to be perfect your first time around, and there's totally room to edit and perfect your paragraphs between this point of you writing each one of them and the actual final draft. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to go back and see if I can incorporate my text evidence somehow. So I went back over here to my outline. I'm identifying my text evidence here, and what I've already done is include my in-text citation that matches with what's on my works cited. I want to put my works cited here to show you what I'm talking about. So I know that this in-text citation right here, where it says Zora Neale Hurston in quotes, I know that matches up here to this entry on my works cited page because I don't have an author for it, and this is the only one by that title, so I can put that in parentheses here. I'll know that my other information that is labeled Ali Prindini will be to this source, and any information that's labeled as Ashby and Orrin is from this source. Okay, that's just a way of connecting the dots for your reader and giving the proper credit to the proper sources that you're finding it from. Okay, and I know that we live in a world where it's really easy to just share and not have to give a source. You know, a lot of memes come about, they become popular, and we don't know who's created them. We don't know the origins of them, but you share them. I understand that that's the culture we live in, but with the academic approach to citing your information and making sure that you're getting your information from credible sources and passing it on in a credible way, this is what we have to do to be able to show that work. It's like showing your work in math class. Okay, so I've got my in-text citation here. I'm just going to copy this information and put this into my rough draft and figure out now how to incorporate this. Okay, and it looks like I need to do something to fix this, right? Hurston had a major role during the Harlem Renaissance, an important period in literary history, the 1920s, and it looks like I've already paraphrased this information. Since it's not in quotations, I paraphrased it, which means I can change this up again as long as I keep the essential information. And what this point is talking about is how Zora Neale Hurston became known as the queen of the Harlem Renaissance. So I'm going to change my wording here to the 1920s. Okay, so I keep the information the same, but I changed the wording to fit better with my paragraph. So here are my first two sentences. Hurston had a major role during the Harlem Renaissance, an important period in literary history. The 1920s is when this movement took place, and Zora Neale Hurston became known as its queen. And at this point, I want to elaborate on that fact with why I think this is important. And this can take a number of different directions. This might be more than one sentence because you guys are in freshman English class. You might want to elaborate a little bit more in depth than just having a 3-sentence paragraph. I'm going to be looking more for a 5-sentence paragraph. So now I know what I'm shooting for in my paragraph. I'm going to want to aim to add a couple extra sentences. So let me write those and I'll rejoin you in just a second. And welcome back from that pause. So here's what I've got. I added my own analysis of that information. So I wrote about how the Harlem Renaissance was a movement that reached people all over America, was able to show the African American experience in a way that had never been done before. Along with other writers like Langston Hughes, Hurston wrote about the struggles and victories of life for Black Americans. These stories are still powerful and beautiful today in a world where race is still such an important topic of conversation. So I talk about why the Harlem Renaissance specifically was important and why it shows us that Zora Neale Hurston, who had such a role in it, is a important person today, why she's still one of the most influential women of all time, because that's the argument that I'm making in my thesis, and that's what I'm trying to support in my body paragraphs. So I'm going to continue to do this, have a topic sentence that transitions from one thing to the next, have a piece of information, or at least one statistic from or a fact from a source, and then my explanation of why that's important to the reader after that. So I'm going to continue on, and you'll notice that I'm already almost at the bottom of page 1 here. So writing another 3 paragraphs should be very easy to spill over into 2 full pages. And when I say, a 2-page requirement, it means going down to the bottom of each page entirely. This would not be enough to count as 1 full page. But another 3 paragraphs will certainly get me there, especially seeing in my outline that I have a lot more information for those paragraphs as well. Okay, so again, that's my topic sentence, including evidence and my proper in-text citation, and elaborating on that with my own thoughts. I'm going to do this again for my next couple of body paragraphs and reasons that I have in my outline. And at that point, when I'm all done with that, all I'll have left to write is my conclusion, and that'll be the next video. So happy writing.